What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Devy Route. It's Monday, so you know what we're doing. We're doing a Risers and Fallers Devy and College Football edition, looking at some of the best performances and some of the worst performances of the week. So we're going to be diving into 4 guys that are Risers, a couple of Fallers, and kind of giving our general thoughts about how they performed and just talk about, hey, what is their college relevance? What is their fantasy relevance? What is their NFL draft relevance? So you know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we will catch you guys on the other side. All right, we had a great week 2 of college football. It was a lot of fun, and we got a big upset. Texas at Alabama. I don't know if it's a big upset, but it was an upset. Texas beating Alabama. Have to put our guy A.D. Mitchell here on the cover page. Let's talk about risers, and we're gonna start like normal. We're gonna start with Texas. So let's talk about Quinn Ewers. Last week, I talked about him being a faller, but what I said was a caveat. I said he'll be a riser if he plays well against Alabama. I said he has the chance. He's a legacy game here. And this kid freaking balled out against Alabama. I think that's the one thing that you have to notice here when you're looking at overall against Alabama. 24 for 38, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. His deep ball accuracy was there. He under control and no interceptions. I think those are the big things that stand out. When you're looking at the PFF grades, offensive grade 89.7, absolutely phenomenal. Big time throw. Ewers had a couple throws yesterday to A.D. Mitchell, to Xavier Worthy that were big time, and then also to Jatavian Sanders. And when you're looking at his ability to maneuver the pocket, getting pressured and finding open guys, Ewers was absolutely dominant yesterday. That was the best game of his college career. So you have to give Ewers due where it's due, and it is due here. And again, last week I talked about it. He's got to step up, and he did. So I got to give him a shout out there. No turnover-worthy plays in his first 2 games. You have to love that. Like when you're talking about turnover-worthy play percentage, he's not doing that right now. Whereas last year he was, right? So that is absolutely phenomenal for Ewers. And his offensive grade under pressure was fine. Like he looked really good under pressure. I thought he moved his legs well. I think the one thing that stood out to me a little bit when you're looking at overall what he's been able to do is that he's not forcing his legs anymore. Like I thought last year at times he took off too early, didn't look downfield. He's not doing that anymore. So shout out Quinn Ewers. You did an absolute phenomenal job. Let's see if you can keep that going as the season goes. Next guy, Donnie Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell was absolute phenomenal. 6'4", big kid. When you're thinking of where he's at right now, in between that 196 to 215, wherever he's marked in there, by the numbers yesterday, he's a big time kid. So Mitchell is one of those dudes that's just going to, ask Alabama when he's at Georgia, same thing. 3 catches yesterday, 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Absolute phenomenal player, like big time kid, gets up and goes and gets it. So you'd like to see the receptions be a little bit more, but he just goes up and gets plays. He makes plays, and I think he fits the NFL mold. I love his ability to kind of separate and also 50-50 balls. He does that well. Receiving grade 63.4. So yeah, he has a couple drops, but receiving grade and what's in the offense. He has no drops, so that's good to see, right? You like to see that. His wide percentage outside, 82.5. His ADOT is 24.0. So you love his ADOT in terms of what he's looking at there. He's a big-time threat, and I think the NFL is going to love this kid. So I want to shout out Mitchell because I thought he made some of the biggest catches of the game. Obviously, that touchdown over the shoulder catch was there. He had the other touchdown, but I thought his catch on the sidelines that Ewers kind of threw to him when they were within, I think, the 6-yard line, he got him out of that hole there. Absolutely phenomenal. I think Mitchell is one of the most important aspects of this Texas offense. I think he opens up things for Xavier Worthy, who had a hell of a game. We could put Xavier Worthy on this. This could have been a Texas episode, but I think Mitchell is one of those guys that you have to look for as being a draft capital guy. Like I think that the NFL is going to really like Mitchell. I don't know if the numbers are going to really stand out too much, like if he just has these 3 catches, but I think the NFL is going to really fall in love with this kid. Next guy we got to shout out, Amarian Hampton, running back from North Carolina. Sophomore, 6'220". He had a phenomenal game against App State that went into overtime. 26 carries, 234 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Absolute. What else is to say about the kid, right? 116 yards after contact there. That's a phenomenal number. 5 missed tackles forced. He was able to do that. 6 explosive runs over 10 yards or more, and a 99.1 elusive rating. The thing is with this team, with North Carolina, we've been looking to see what running back's going to step up. who is it going to be? And right now, if it's Hampton, if he continues this, that's something that you like to see. Against South Carolina, didn't have the efficiency numbers that you like to see. Only 2.3 yards average per carry, but 2 touchdowns. So he always had 5 touchdowns on the board. You have to like that. Last year, he showed times where he could do that. You have to love that about him. I thought that he played really, really well. Again, speed is okay. He had a couple breakaways that you like to see there. I think with his size, though, and speed score, if he can get that speed score up, let's say he runs in that 4.5 range when we're thinking about like that NFL prospects, Hampton's a big riser. So be on the lookout for Amari and Hampton in that 25 class of running backs. He could be the sleeper. We've been looking for sleepers in that class. Amari and Hampton is definitely fitting that bill. Next guy that I want to shout out is kind of a guy that's kind of been my guy, someone that I've really liked for a long time in the Devy space. If you follow me, if you're on our Patreon and those things, Devin Neal, really 5'11", 215. He's got good size where he's kind of measured at 20 yards after contact. Right now, he's averaging 3 missed tackles for us against an Illinois defense that is not as good as last year, but still pretty good. 10 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. And 5 explosive runs. So of those 10 carries, 5 or 10 yards or more. That's where he averaged a 12.0 yards per carry. And his elusive rating was really good at 100. Not bad. Able to make guys miss. I think the thing with Neal, it's not only his rushing ability, it's his receiving upside. He had 4 catches and 47 yards. He had 167 total yards yesterday against Illinois. He does it in the passing and the running game. And I think with Neal, I think his ability to kind of do that, but be efficient. He only has 23 carries, but he has 214 yards, averaging 9 yards per carry. And at Kansas, we're not talking about a program that is known for this. They are now slowly. They have a great offensive system. I think Neal gets slept on. And I talked about it when we did our live show. We do our live show every Saturday night. Neal reminds me a lot of Tank Bigsby. Maybe not as like stout, but Neal has a little Tank Bigsby in him, but a better pass catcher. I think he is kind of that better pass catcher there. He's someone to watch. I think he's going to be a huge riser draft boards. Day 2, I think, is written all over Devin Neal. So shout out Devin Neal because he took a little bit of lumps when we talk about going to Kansas out of high school because he was a very sought after recruit, but he's really making guys kind of rethink that. Now let's get into some fallers because we do got to talk about a couple of fallers this weekend. And again, remember, fallers doesn't mean they're bad, just means that they didn't have a great game. We got to talk about it. Joe Milton is a guy that he did okay. So when we're talking about what he did not look good in the first half, against a subpar opponent, right? FCS opponent. 21 for 33 is where he finished. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 carries, 7 yards, and a touchdown. 63% completion percentage. Now, I understand the Tennessee fans are going to say he had a bunch of drops out there. I get it. But Joe Milton has played football since 2018. I couldn't even put all of his numbers on here because I didn't have enough room in the graphic. I just put up his Tennessee numbers because he's been here since 2018, right? We need to see more from him. We have not seen that. He did not look great against Virginia. He, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, pretty pedestrian. We know we can throw it a mile, but I worry about as we get into this, we're going to get into this SEC schedule. What is Tennessee going to look like, right? What's Joe Milton going to look like here? Like when we're looking at this, by the numbers, his offensive grade has been okay. Big time throw, he hasn't had any. Turnover worthy plays, didn't really have that. So that's nice to see. But his offensive grade under pressure is in the 50 percentile. That is not good. He's got to step that up as he gets in the SEC play. I think the Volunteers are probably the most overrated top 10 team right now, just because I worry about Milton. Now, he might come out and look very good. I think he's got a pretty easy schedule early. At Florida, he should not struggle at Florida. Florida might be the worst team in the SEC with how bad they are right now. UTSA, he should win that game. South Carolina should be that game. Texas A&M, I mean, they just got boat raced by Miami. Then you get Alabama, like their schedule in Georgia, right? Those are going to tell the games for him. Really, it comes down to Alabama and Georgia as his NFL prospects, but he has not been playing very well. That's just something to know. Now, next guy I want to talk about, Braylon Allen. We've been mentioned on this channel, Braylon Allen is nerve-wracking Devy asset. We talked about him being an overrated Devy asset. Brandon Allen has not looked good. And I think when you're looking at what he's done these first 2 games, now against Buffalo, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, but that was against Buffalo. I think against Washington State, he had 7 carries, 20 yards, 2.9 average. I will say the one positive note, he had 6 catches, but only for 12 yards. So we're not talking about a legitimate receiving threat, just dump offs here, right? I'm worried about Braylon Allen moving forward in Devy and in terms of rankings, right? I worry about him as a prospect. And I think from a fantasy perspective, I think you have to worry about him as well. There are some times that kind of pivot off him. Now, he's not 5'10", 196. That's a mistake. 6'2", 245. So that's on me. But I do worry about overall what Braylon Allen's impact in Devy is really going to be, because he has not played well. So again, he's 6'2", 245. Yell at me in the comments. Do the algorithm there. But I do worry about him moving forward. And Ches Malucci has looked better than Braylon Allen. That's something to know. If that's the case, if he has looked better than him, I think I really worry about that moving forward, because Malucci's not an NFL prospect like Braylon Allen should be, right? So appreciate you guys tuning in. These are our risers and fallers of the week. Hit that like and subscribe button. Yell at me for Braylon Allen's size being wrong. But again, I'm just trying to highlight some plays. I think Quinn Ewers has probably put himself in that top, first round category in that area. And that's something to know. I think, in terms of what he's done, if he can continue going, I think, there's some rumblings that he might be able to push Drake May a little bit. And there's some rumblings out there that Drake May is not as good as some people think about it. So that's something to note when we're talking about Quinn Ewers. He's put himself in that conversation, but he can't lose to Oklahoma. He can't lose those games that we expect Texas to win. So appreciate you guys. I'll check you guys next week.